Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're listening to this. This is Coffee with Kevin. And yes, I am Kevin. I'm Kevin Martin. I am a hypnotherapist and a mindset coach. Now, this is my coffee. And today I'm truly grateful. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Mm-mm-mm. Yes. This coffee is delish. Mm. I hope you have your own cup of coffee and you're grateful for it, or your own cup of tea, or hot chocolate, or maybe it's a cold drink, maybe it's a smoothie, maybe it's a juice, maybe it's just water. But here's to you on this day. Hmm This is wonderful. This is delicious. It's July 18th. July. Oh my goodness, where did I go? Where did I come from? It's August 18th. I don't know where my mind was just at that point. I'm going to check up here and I'm going to check on Facebook, see if we're running and how we're running and all that good stuff because that's Facebook, right? So I should be able to see myself here, and I do, sharing the wisdom. Yes, I don't want to play that. I don't want to get the echo and everything else going on here. So let's just, here we are. Here we are. Okay. I did it. I played where I shouldn't have been played. My friend Luke Casey, who, oh, Larry, come here. Good morning. Who actually makes your coffee each morning? Me. Actually, yeah, I gotta say, Brenda prepares a coffee pot the evening before with fresh grounds, and if I'm up the first one, which I was this morning, I pressed the button, so I made the coffee. I poured it in the cup, so I made the coffee. Hmm Good question for this Tuesday morning. Now, you probably are looking at this hat. I don't usually wear a hat here, but it says hypnosis works. This was a gift from a good friend of mine, Susan Normal, at the conference that I went to a week ago. Okay, so that's where I was. Now, we did the coffee with Kevin. We were able to do that, but for the most part, I was on a little workation or vacay work. I don't know what it, but we took 2 weeks. We went up to New England. A few days before the conference, we got to visit and with relatives, and several days after the conference, we got to visit with relatives. It was constant. It was going all over the place. I visited with just about every single relative except for one niece and one nephew. But it was just great. It was just fantastic. Mm. Hypnosis works because it was a hypnosis conference, and that's why I want to talk about sharing wisdom today. But before we get into it, again, it's August 18th. I got the month right this time. It's August 18th, and in 106 years ago, on this day, women got the right to vote. It was an extremely important and proud moment in our country where we finally realized that women were the ideas that women had and the likes, because it's voting, and dislikes count. They count as much as men. So this was an awesome day for the country, for women. It was an awesome day. Oh, and on this day in 1227, it's almost 800 years ago, 799 years ago, on this day, Genghis Khan died. I know you're saying, Kevin, why do we care about that? Well, from what I understand, a good deal of us, our DNA goes back to him. He was propagating his DNA all over Europe, I guess. But no, the big important part of today was the fact that woman suffrage. I guess women got a right to vote. It was the 19th Amendment that was passed on this day. Woohoo! Yes. Now let's get back to talking about. I'm going to talk about the conference that I went to. It was a hypnosis conference. Yes, it was Larry Kamir who just gave a comment. He was there. I love to see my friend Larry, and it was a treasure and a pleasure to actually see you this weekend. Not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago at the conference, and I saw a lot of my good friends at the conference. Um, hanging out with 300 plus hypnotists on a weekend is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But doing what I got to do, which is teaching several classes, is even better, at least from my perspective. First of all, I do get to meet a lot of people. I do get to meet a lot of people, but I get to share my wisdom. And the reason why I chose this sharing wisdom is because going into this, I had one particular class that I was excited about. I hadn't done before. The other classes I had done before. This one I've done parts of it. It was a class on forgiveness. It was Ho'oponopono, but I hadn't done it like I was going to present it, and I was going to present it in such a way that I just felt so blessed to have that information to share, and it was incredible. It was incredible. Yeah, I didn't have a packed house, but I had enough people where I had questions, where I actually had wonderful comments on what we were doing and good interaction in the class. It was a 2 hour class called Beyond Forgiveness, Modern Day Ho'oponopono. But first part of it, of course, first part of that class was to teach people how to say it. Ho'oponopono. Ho'o, it means to make, and pono means right. So it's to make doubly right, or to make right for you and others. However you want to, however you want to picture the pono pono. When they say words twice in Hawaiian, it really emphasizes how important it is. Okay, so I taught that class in a way I've never taught that before, doing a meditation that I hadn't done before either. So this was right up to that class. Now I had already done before the conference. I had already done a 1 day class on my EMRT, my eye movement. It's something I'm really proud of and something I really love to deliver. It's a day-long class, and it's so much fun. So much fun to see the people in the class change as they do. And I loved being in that class. I loved having that class. But the other class was special. It was some wisdom. It was more wisdom that I could pass along that could change people's lives. And I really think that I had the ability and possibilities of helping change people's lives. Debbie Schofield, well, good morning to you too, Debbie. So yes, it was wonderful. So I learned, and I've known this for quite a while. I've known this for quite a while. Sharing wisdom is a blessing. When you train, when you teach, you learn as much as the people you're training. Now, do you learn more about the subject matter that you're teaching? Sure, you do. You always do, because you're expressing yourself. You're transferring this knowledge, this wisdom to others, and then they get feedback, and you're always learning something. But you learn about connecting with people every time. I've been training for over 35 years. Every time I do a class, I learn more and I grow more. I believe sharing wisdom is incredible. Now, you don't have to do classes like I do. You can, if you're just sitting down. Debbie and I have sat down many times in imparting some wisdom that can help someone else. That is wonderful. That is just incredible. So I wanted to talk about that. We all have wisdom. We all have something we know and we've done. Maybe it's a story we're sharing. Maybe it's when we're listening to somebody, we're hearing something that helps us help them. So there's a lot about this. Let me just share for a moment, in a quick moment, because I believe when I share, you don't hear my voice. So I'm going to do this for a quick moment. I'm going to take myself off the screen so you can see the whole screen. Or if you can hear me at this time, but I'm going to come back now. All right. So you can see the whole screen. You listen deeply is part of it that's in back of me. And then encouraging, that's sharing your wisdom. You've listened and you know how to be empathetic and sympathetic, and you can share your experiences or experiences that you know of and lead by example. That's also a way to share wisdom. If any of you are parents, current parents with younger children, or parents where your children were younger at some point, I think we all have children that were younger at some point. I think actually all of us were younger at some point, or weren't we? And when you have children, as when you have a workforce, as when you have friends, leading by example is key. Is key. Have you ever met somebody who, when they're in groups or on the stage or in front of a group, they sound one way? All right, they talk and profess certain things, but when you meet them outside of that, you see them acting outside of that, they're completely different. That's not walking the talk. I love people who walk the talk. Whatever they profess, they actually live. I try my hardest to do that. I try my hardest to be that kind of person. That here I am. I'm talking to you about all these things. I try my hardest to be the kind of person that does these same things that I impart my wisdom about. So sharing wisdom is a blessing, especially if you're sincere, especially if you say, okay, I believe this can help you, and you believe it as much that you use it too. By the way, my class on Ho'oponopono, I use it on a daily basis. My friend Debbie here has learned it and has used it. I use it every day. I'm using it right now with the gratitude and the love that I have for my ability to be here, to share my wisdom, to be able to speak. I'm not saying I'm the most perfect speaker, but I'm pretty good, I believe. I've been told um, to be able to create lessons like this. So today's we got just a few quotes, but they're important. They're about imparting wisdom, and they're about wisdom itself. So let's take a look. Let's take a look what we have today. The first one is exactly what I said. Phil Collins. Phil Collins, the drummer of the band Genesis and a wonderful, wonderful singer and artist. He said, in learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. I love that. That's just incredible wisdom. I would have thought, if I hadn't seen who the author was, I would have thought that was like Buddha or someone like that. In learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. Let's see something about wisdom itself. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Wow. I had to put that out there. I saw it and said, this is true. Okay. By the way, this has little to do with sharing your wisdom, but as you're sharing your wisdom, you know that there's more to learn. There's always more to learn. There's always more to learn. And what you know is not always the most correct or is not always the best. So you have your mind open to be able to learn more. But the only true wisdom is the fact that we know that we know nothing. I don't want to say we know nothing, but how about there's always more to learn? And the next and last, the greatest use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts life. You're going to say, well, what does that have to do with wisdom and sharing wisdom? Well, absolutely. When you can share your wisdom, it outlasts you. When you share your wisdom, it outlasts you. You don't have to write books. I've written books. I've written books and continue to write books. You don't have to write books. You don't have to journal. You just have to be there to share your wisdom, to share your insights. Share it with your children so they can live a better life. That outlasts you. Share it with your friends, and they'll share it with friends, and it'll go all over the place, and it will outlast you. The greatest use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts life. Meaning, share your wisdom. We've all got wisdom that we have, that we can share. Okay, I had one more comment in here. Oh my goodness. Brenda Martin, who has her own hat, by the way, and got to spend the weekend, the conference with me. And we had a good time. And she got to share, a little wisdom with her grandchildren because a couple of her grandchildren were there as well. And you share some good times because there was a pool at the hotel. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So here's wishing you a lot of fun. Oh, here's wishing you many, many things to be grateful for. hmm And I'm gonna wish you something that I don't usually wish. I wish you a week full of gratitude and love. A week full of gratitude and love. But I'll say the same thing I always say. It's not my wish that's going to do it for you. It's you. You're in control of the way you think, the way you feel. Good morning, Angel. There is someone I know that is also full of gratitude and love. Angel is an angel. She runs a charity to feed the homeless. And she works the hardest I've ever seen anyone work. And it's work not for herself, but for others. And she has a lot of wisdom. She is incredible with her insights into the homeless and why they're there and how they're there and how to help them. And she shares her wisdom as well. So this is just, I want you to take what you know and share it with others, even if it's just over a cup of coffee and a small conversation. Share it, and it will be multiplied because others will share it, and then others will share it, and others will share it. Share your wisdom all over the world just by sharing it with at least one person, and it will outlast life. All right, all. I really enjoyed this. Sharing this was also a blessing for me. I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening. If you like this, please like this and share it also. Take care. Bye bye. Da, 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 da.